Alright, today we're going to be mixing together some chemistry for a patina for copper that turns it absolutely black. And what this is really great for is if you have any kind of work that you're doing in copper and you want to highlight the area and leave the recesses to be very dark. Sometimes you can use liver of sulfur that you buy in the store, but the liver of sulfur in the store, you know, it kind of goes bad really quick, and it's expensive. So I'm going to be showing you how to make a very high concentrated liver of sulfur, and you can use that to darken your pieces, and it only takes 1/10 of a second, so you guys see that right there, and right about there, right? So let's dip this in here. Boom. 100% dark. Okay, and that allows you to then neutralize that in baking soda and then take and sand off the details. So if you're doing any kind of copper work, that's beautiful. So you can see it really bites into the copper. Cool. And that's how, I get the stuff like that and stuff like this to look that way. Okay, so what you're going to need is 1,000 milliliter Pyrex boro glass. How you heat this is up to you. I'm using a sketchy way of heating it using a coil burner. You could do it that way, but if you do that, make sure that you're putting it on a piece of copper. It could be 1/16 of an inch. I just want to spread out the heat that way so the coils don't initially touch the glass. And that's how I heat liquid. I know that's sketchy as hell, but it does work out. So please don't do it if you don't feel like you're comfortable about doing that. But you're going to need 1,000 milliliter boro container. You're going to need distilled water. You're going to need a 100% lye drain opener. And you're going to need sulfur powder. And sulfur powder can be bought on Amazon. It looks like this. Okay. And I had a video on how to make this a dangerous way, and now I have a safer way. So that's why I'm making this video. Alright, before I show you how to make this stuff, just I want to go over a couple things. Again, I probably will go over this a couple times in the video, but I want to make sure I nail it every time because there is dangerous. One, you must have safety glasses on for this. And we're talking the big ones, the really nice ones, the ones that go around your eyes. If it gets in your eyes, you will instantly go blind. It's nothing to screw around with, okay? The other thing is, if you get this on your hands, it will burn, okay? So if you don't feel safe, wear nitrile gloves. Wear nitrile gloves anyway, but if you watch any of my videos, that sometimes I don't play it safe either. So, but I do wear safety glasses. I've been nailed too many times. So, that and, be careful with the heat. This stuff will get hot naturally and boil. So, you don't add large quantities at any time, just a little bit, and I'll go over that with the video too. Just know what to expect ahead of time. This is dangerous, there's no doubt about it. It's not nearly as dangerous as how I showed how to make this stuff in one of my previous videos, which I probably will get rid of, but that's okay. So I hope you enjoy this video, and let's go on with the show. Okay, so one thing you should know about using a coil burner is never ever put glass that has nothing in it on a coil burner. Okay, always start out with water, and never start out with hot Pyrex either. So I'm going to fill this to 400 milliliters. No matter what ratio you use, you're always going to get the same result. It's always going to turn out black. But you can use this stuff right here. This is the concentrated form to make variations. So we're making a concentrated liquid, And let's say you wanted one of the shades of copper that comes out is blue. Okay, well, you just have to use the concentrate in distilled water until you get a blue, and then you have a blue distilled version of that. Okay, you can do purple or whatever, because all it is oxidizing it to a certain degree. The concentrate will turn it black, there's no doubt about it, but I've mixed this enough where I know also if I mix this with distilled water and then the concentrate, I can get different versions of that black. I can get blue, I can get purple, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'll let you play around with that. Today we're just making the concentrate version. So I'm going to turn this on high. To initially heat this up. I'm going to wait for a little bit of bubbles to appear at the bottom of this. Okay? Not a roiling boil. Okay? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for just minor bubbles to appear at the bottom. That way, because when you add sodium hydroxide to water, it's automatically going to get hot enough to boil, self-boil. Things that you should maybe definitely wear. I have safety glasses on. I have this glove. This is a really cool. This is called Chem Stops. You can use that or nitrile. Only reason I like this is because I can definitely pick this thing up, and I can pour it without oven mitts. Okay. So Chem Stop gloves are pretty amazing. Got them on Amazon. Alright, so I'll be back while that starts to initially have those bubbles, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so now I have slight bubbles on the bottom. If you look through here, I can see the water, how it's making those lines through it, just telling me that the water is sufficient heat. I can see that, and that's how I can tell the temperature without actually taking the temperature. Look at the effects. So what I'm going to do is turn this down all the way. In fact, I might just turn it off. You need a stirring rod, glass, and what you're going to do is slowly add lye. Okay? Again, safety glasses. Slowly. I mean, like a little sprinkle at a time. Think about table salt. Okay, do you hear that? See how it'll automatically, it'll do a little boil thing. It'll go, okay. Stir it. Just like salt. Just think about salt in your food. You're going to say, how much? Well, we're trying to saturate the liquid here with sodium hydroxide. So we're going to keep adding this until we don't get much of a reaction anymore. Okay, I like that reaction. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. I'm going to put it on low. If a big chunk lands in there like that, you just back up a little bit, wait a second. Those people that need exact measurements of things, this is not the video for you. And what's nice about this method is like you can make so many different variations of this, but really the concentrate, you get a feel for it. Just a little dash here is going to add more of a reaction because I got that on low now. Now the liquid, you notice it turned so clear. I mean crystal clear. So this is telling me that it's almost to the point where it's like highly saturated. So I'm going to turn that down again. And right now it's off. It's just okay, right about there it should be concentrated enough. It took a while to dissolve that one chunk. Okay, and the reason we're putting sodium hydroxide in there is because sulfur doesn't mix with water. If you put just sulfur and water together, they'll never mix. The sodium hydroxide is to break down the sulfur. So now we're going to add some sulfur powder. Again, you're going to say how much, and I'm going to put enough in here. And it's going to look like it's not actually doing anything other than beating up. And then we're going to stir it. And this will get a yellow at first. And what we want is that orange right there. You see that? It's orangish red. That's a goal. There we go. So now I'm just going to let that set, spin around a little bit. It's going to form chunks of sulfur at the very bottom. They're kind of like a bigger chunk that appears at the bottom. And then I'm going to add a little bit more sodium hydroxide and then a little bit more sulfur to the point where I know it's super concentrated at that point. It doesn't hurt to have those elements floating at the bottom when we store this stuff. In fact, it helps it. And this stuff ages very well. So I'm going to put this in a mason jar with a sealable lid, and it'll stay that way for a very, very long time, years, until it gets exposed to air. And then when it gets exposed to air, it starts losing its power very quickly until you cap it again. So when you use this stuff, make sure that you are dipping your pieces in, leave the stuff in there, and then take it out, and then putting on the cap. And you can do that over and over again for quite some time, but as long as you remember to put the cap back on. Too much oxygen gets in here, what's going to happen, it's going to break down, and it's going to lose its power. Same with liver sulfur. Liver sulfur does that too. Okay, it's starting to get that color. Good. It's on low right now. And slowly introduce. You're not going to get as much a reaction anymore. You might have to stir it to get that reaction. See how gets a reaction and instantly stops, that's telling me that it's saturated with sodium hydroxide. So I don't need any more sodium hydroxide. I'm going to add just a pinch more sulfur here. Stir that around. Let that set on low for about 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. It's been about 3 minutes. Now, if you want to test the power of this stuff, grab some copper, a strip of it, and all I'm doing is taking some steel wool to the copper to get the initial test off. And we're going to try this hot. Look at that. Pitch black. It's beautiful. Very highly concentrated liver sulfur. Awesome stuff. Okay. Cool. So that wasn't expensive. Okay, so a box of sulfur powder will probably run you about $20, and that's going to last you till your great grandchildren have that sulfur box. It's, I think, 5 pounds. You can buy smaller quantities on Amazon if you want, but they're about as expensive because you don't need the highest quality. This stuff right here, I think it's about $4 or $5 at your local hardware store. 100% lye. Make sure it says that. And if you look up liver sulfur, let's say on a jewelry place, it's going to be like $8 for a little tiny bottle for it, and nearly not as concentrated as this stuff. Okay, cool. So I hope you enjoyed the how to make your own liver of sulfur the safe way. Enjoy. Alright, so I want to show you how to use the concentrate, because I think that would be useful just in case you didn't understand that. Let's say I have water. Let's say, well, I'm going to put that much because that's all I have left. It has to be distilled water, okay? You do not have to heat this, it's just because that's in the middle of the camera. Here's the concentrated stuff, okay? Right now, if I just notice there was just a little bit left over in that. Just a little left over. So what I want to do is you could test the color of that. Again, by reusing your old piece of copper, you can just hit it with some steel wool and see what it comes out. And in this case, it's like a dark orange. Okay. Okay, what happens when you do it twice? So as it gets exposed to air, you can see it gets darker and darker with every dip. Okay, and it'll change color. So let's say I wanted to make a concentrate of this. Then I'll have to wipe down my sample with a paper towel. And start over with the steel wool. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like if you want a certain color of copper, you can get there. It does take a little bit of patience though. And I'll show you an application where I had a few different versions of this. So this is a much golder copper, nearly not as black. and I'm going to have to get a lot more concentrate if I want to get to the blues or the purples. So let me show you like an application of that. It's kind of like watercolor. You can see, in some cases I just used a different concentrate on different areas of this piece. It's an engraving in copper. Here's another engraving in copper, and with a different concentrate on the elephant than I did on the outside. Same liquid though, just different concentrates. So maybe that'll put in perspective on how powerful this really is, and the fact that you have so many variations that you can go through. Cool. So I just wanted to show you that so you can understand it a little bit better, and have a good one.